Good morning, everybody. You smile, please, because we are recording this. Okay, so this is the last in my series of whinging and moaning about the structure of the agents and the agencies, and then we're going to get on to some normal stuff. But just some good news. Well done to Vuyo and Sutu. You guys have handed in your logbooks. This is amazing. Well done. Was it easy? Just go yes or no hard. Easy. Well done. That's fantastic.
Well done.
And all that means is it makes some more money. So that's good for you and good for us. Right. On the other side of the coin, we've got Cheryl and Madeleine that are up to speed, I believe, and are in a position to assist you in nearly every aspect. And thank you for your patience as we, as we got used to each other. And so now we've got plain sailing ahead of us and we can get on with our business. You will have the right screen. Okay, so we're back to where we are. So what is this perfect fit? Okay, so there are 5 parts to our business, guys, and I've been rambling on about it. And all I'm trying to get to is that there are experienced agents, there are principal agents, there are intern agents, rentals, there are lots of different people in lots of different spaces. But what we need to do as the property, in my business, is be able to support you all. So it's very difficult to support people unless we're all on the same page. So that's actually just what I'm trying to get to. So this is, we're talking to Linda and Anton and Madeleine and Cheryl as well, because we're trying to get ourselves aligned so that we can support you properly. But what we do need to know is what we're going to get from you. Otherwise, we get sidetracked and we get sort of blindsided by stuff. So if you look at this thing in front of you, there are 5 aspects to our business in my estimation. So there's the agent, property closer, the seller, a buyer, which can be read as the landlord and a tenant, and the EAB. And they've all got a very specific role to play. Now, obviously the agent, you've got to bring your skills because you can't know nothing. So if you're a new agent and you were a astrophysicist beforehand, that's not going to help you much because astrophysicists by their very nature don't understand sales. And if you were a car salesman, it's also not going to help you too much because we actually don't sell cars, we sell houses. And we actually don't even sell houses if you've listened to me rambling before. We put deals together, we broker and we do the management of the process. We're not hard salespeople. Property closer is here for support, that's what we do. And when we say support, it means that by implication means we don't do your job. So you've joined an 80-20 company, and the way property closers hangs together is that you get the most of the commission because you do most of the work. Okay, we do a support function. We're an admin office. So if you present us with an offer to purchase and it's got blank gaps in it, then I don't know what to do with it because we're not geared to do your work for you. So it's the same as you handing an offer to purchase to me, and I say, well, I don't know how to get it to the attorneys. Why don't you drop it off? Now you're going to go, what? That's not part of what we do. So we've all got very specific things. Sellers of particular people and landlords, I mean, they must be willing and able, and a buyer must be willing and able. Does anybody understand or know what willing and able actually means? Why would we say willing and able? A buyer's a buyer and a tenant's a tenant. It's quite simple. Not only do you have to have the capacity to do the purchase, that means you must be legally competent and you must have the money and you must have the ability to sign and you must be of sound mind, which discounts most of our support staff from owning anything. And you must also be willing. So you must want to own it and you must want to buy it and you must want to rent it and you must want to sell it. And so sellers need to be able to sell. They must be their property. They must be not dead. They must be competent in their own minds and they must know what they're selling. And a buyer must be the same. Okay, so there are aspects of every one of us have got our own jobs. And the EAB's got a very important role because they offer the license. Now, all of these things hang together. And if they come together in a beautiful synergistic way, like a symphony, then you will see a happy person on the beach on their summer holidays. It's where these things clash that the things go wrong. And the way they clash is if you mix the wrong things. So if you have petrol in a car, that's good. If you have petrol in your lounge suite, that's bad. you see, because things like that don't mix well. And when things don't mix well, they cause problems. And it's not always clear how these things explode. But let me show you. I've drawn you a picture. And it goes like this. Okay, so now I've reduced it to 3 intersecting circles. So we've got the EAB, which is a compliance. They are really just like the traffic police. They will stop you and check you've got a license. That's what they do. They're not there to protect you. Okay, so if a traffic officer sees you driving badly, they are going to stop you. They're going to check you randomly, and they're going to make sure that you're compliant. If somebody else drives past in a flaming wreck with 300 people in their car, they're not going to stop prosecuting you to look at them. That's not their job. Their job is to pick on you. So just know that as a fact. Okay? The other side of the coin is the clients. The clients can be screamy madman or very calm people. We don't know that yet. Because why? Because we, amongst us, have this magic of extracting the real truth from people. So if you want to meet the real person, introduce him to an estate agent, and within a day, that person's true colors come out and they can no longer hide the facade, their anger, and they want to kill you. Okay, so that's what we do. And the other side is the agent, who's a very, very hardworking person who is, I mean, it's probably the most difficult job in my estimation in the world, because you do it all for free. And then you get paid if all of these other things work. It's like we're lunatics. I don't know why we do it, except that it is a nice job and it's got all the other benefits that we do appreciate. Okay, so these are these 3 things. And when I say mixing, they mix well in certain aspects, but then they don't mix well. Okay, so the EAB and the agent, where they intersect at the top here, you get an FFC from them. That's good. So the EAB and you, when you mix, that's good. You get an FFC, that's a license to trade, lacquer. And on that basis, you know, on that thing, you will see that Cheryl has done an amazing amount of work. She's got 21 of you up to speed with FFCs. 11 of you have got your licenses in your hand that you never had or couldn't get or for some reason. And the other 10 of you are in the midst of having it done, and you're very close. So Cheryl has been doing some kind of cyber terrorism on that poor EAB and has like hammered them into submission with many of you. So well done, Cheryl, and thank you for helping you guys. So that's that relationship. The relationship between the agent and the client is a sales relationship. So that's a good thing to have. You want to engage with clients and you want to have the nexus of it as a sale or money. That must be the goal of it. What you don't want to do is engage with the client and have anything other than a sale. Okay. Now, where it starts going wrong is if you have the clients interacting with the EAB, big problem. Because the only way a client can interact with the EAB is to write a rude letter. Well, Shanae did the same, came to my house and she was very rude. Okay. Now we know that if they say that, the EAB is going to investigate it and they're going to make you jump through a whole lot of hoops to prove your competence and are you in fact unprofessional, and then you bring the good name of estate agents to do besmirch our good name. And that's a big problem. It's a pain. Okay, so those 2 things interact. So what you don't want to do is let them touch each other. And there's certain ways to make, I suggest that to look after it. And the nexus of all of this is the property COSA model that we've got. So what we run is the nexus of all of this, and we engage with all of these parties. But we need to know what's going on. Okay, because what I don't need to do is get what did they call it? A subpoena from the EAB, inviting me to explain why I have neglected to do this. And remember, when they say me neglecting to do it is because I have vicarious responsibility for all of you, and whatever you do is my fault. So now I have to explain. So it helps me quite a lot if I know what's going on. It certainly does help. Okay, so those is the nexus of good and the nexus of fantastic with sales, and the nexus of evil, the complaints. And we must not let these things mix. Okay. Are there any questions? So simple. Okay. So how do we defend ourselves from this kind of madness? Well, I think it's quite easy. You need to manage the client expectations. Let me just make this and go to another page. And of late, we have been getting, I think it's got to do with COVID and the civil unrest in South Africa, the pressure on the economy, the temperature of the country is high. The emotions are running high. Now, I don't know if you feel it in your own lives, but I certainly feel a little bit anxious and a little bit short-tempered. And if you don't feel it, you better wake up. Okay, so no, sorry. But no, we are feeling a little bit agitated, and I think it's fair, and I think it's not unexpected that the clients are going to feel the same. So when you give a client something and you do it wrong, they lash out at you, man. And we've been lashed out at in the last week. I've never been shouted at so much in 1 week. And I'm thinking, yes, like either I am too sensitive and I'm getting all dramatic, or there is real temperature out there. And I suspect there is real temperature out there. Okay. So what I'm saying, managing client expectations. The first thing is you've got to manage yourself. You cannot go into a client meeting, into a sale, into a lease, into anything, unless you are very sure of what you're going to do. So please be very careful. Don't walk in there. You cannot hide inexperience. I mean, I listen to you guys talk on the phone. I watch you. I come to some of your meetings. I watch you show things. And with all due respect to you guys, there are of you that are woefully incompetent, that you've got a lot to learn. And this is not unexpected because some of you are rookies. And other people that have been in the business for a longer time, like myself, make mistakes. So you are incompetent, or you are inexperienced in somebody's eyes, even though you've been in the business for a long time. So this shows, and you need to manage it. So let me just let somebody in. Okay. And the way you manage it, the way you manage this is to be honest from the get-go. And remember that you have a partner. You have a mentor if you're not a full-fledged agent. And there are more than, I think, probably more than 60% of our agents. There are probably 50 of you that are not full status agents. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. It's what the EAB says about you. Now that means, by implication, that means that this out here, Anton, is the agent. You are my assistant. Now you may like that or not. That's what you've signed up for, man. That's what the EAB says. That's the prescript. So everything you do and say is as if I'm doing and saying it. Okay? And if it goes wrong, I'll have to explain that to you. So please bear that in mind. Now, this is not I'm not trying to be dramatic or make a threat, or I'm not trying to do anything. All I'm trying to do is say, so just remember who your partners are. And when you say stupid stuff out there, or stuff that you are taking a little bit of a chance on, just remember that you're not saying it. I'm saying it. Property Codes is on the line for it. And if you say stupid stuff, as we all do all the time, I'll happily tell you that many things I say, and you have met me, so I say stupid shit a lot. Now, when you say stuff like that, what you're going to do is tell your partner. You know, so if I phone one of Taniko's clients and I say something wrong and I go afterwards, oh, I shouldn't have said that. The right thing to do is to immediately phone Tanika. Say, listen, Tanika, I've just spoken to your client and I think I've made a mistake. This is what happened and this is what I said. So that Tanika knows what to do when the client phones her next. So what you do, what often happens is you guys will say something and then you think, oh my God, that was probably wrong. So I won't tell anybody and I hope it goes away. It never goes away. It will never go away. It can't go away. It's going to come out. And it's going to come out at the deeds office. It's going to come out in this EAB's flipping corrective program for you. I don't know what's going to come out, but it doesn't stay hidden. So please communicate constantly and openly and tell everybody everything every time. This is and I'm talking about the business partners. You know, there are certain things that a good negotiator won't tell a client. And I'm not saying hiding defects. I'm talking about the negotiation side of it. So you don't tell the buyer that the client's desperate for money and he'll take 300,000 and less. That's not proper. That's not negotiating with the good, with the client's interests at heart. What I'm saying is that you tell your partners everything. So if you do something or you say something or you hear something that's pertinent or part of the deal, you need to tell your partner. And if your partner is Property Koza, and if you're an intern, your partner's me. And I need to know about it. So that's why you CC me in and you talk to me and you tell me what you've done and what's happening. Okay. And the other side is manage expectations. Please don't promise people the world. We don't have to do that. You have to promise them exactly what's going to happen. And then you need to manage it. And the way you manage expectations is to tell the truth and to write it down Don't promise, guys, we'll get this transfer done in bloody 3 weeks, man. NGL are fantastic. NGL are fantastic, but there's a small thing called the coronavirus and the deeds office is closed. So you're lying. You can never do it in 3 weeks. It's impossible because the oaks at the deeds office are all lying at home with sniffles, apparently. I don't know how many times you can get corona, but apparently those oaks can get it like 11 times a year each. It's amazing, amazing. So what is this now? There's this communication, this little question here. What is WhatsApp communication? That's a serious question, man. I really do want to know. You know, if you send a WhatsApp to somebody, is it actually communicating? Okay, so let's start with what is communication. So communication, by definition, is the transfer of information from somebody to another person who receives it and understands it. Okay, whether it's by pictures on the wall, mud hut drawings with little stick men, or a computer program, or a verbal communication, or a meeting, or a phone call, or WhatsApp, that can be considered communication. It is my opinion that WhatsApps are not communication. Why? Because they are one-way message. And the definition of communication means that there are two parties. One's the sender, the other one's the receiver, and that the medium is understandable and received. WhatsApps are not, they are a signal. It's like a radio signal. So you transmit this WhatsApp and you tell your client, hoping that the seller will be out by Wednesday. That's not communication, man, because that is leaving everybody woefully ill-equipped. And you guys go away often thinking, I've updated my client regularly on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very good for updating people. It's good for news. It's good for saying, by the way, the electrician has come, because that's not a communication thing. That's just an update. But when you start getting to the back end of a deal and things are a little bit stressed, you cannot send a buyer or a tenant or a seller a WhatsApp and expect that to be sufficient. It's not going to stand up in law. You can't bring a WhatsApp to a court case and say, this is my defense. This is me communicating. At very least, it needs to be an email. But the best thing, guys, and I don't know, this magical thing that you can't see, put in front of my face, this thing, your telephone, on your ear is the best way to communicate. Because why? You can hear the temperature of the person who you're talking to. So when you phone me at 8 o'clock on a Friday night and ask me something, you will hear in my voice if I am receptive to this or not, or if it's going to be a problem. Sending a WhatsApp, you don't know anything. So you go to sleep thinking, no, lekker, Anton's up to date, he's all happy with it. Meantime, Anton tried to jump off the balcony to find you so he can hit you with a stick, because that's not what he wants to hear. Now, you can't get that feeling in WhatsApp. Okay, this is a long rant, really, but it's very important. So please, WhatsApp, guys, you must use judiciously, and it must be like a surgical strike. It's a scalpel. You use a WhatsApp for an update. Bob, pleased to tell you that the bond's been approved. That's lekker. What you never send to the seller is, Bob, the bond hasn't been approved. Like what? In your mind, I've still extended it and it's fine and it'll come right and blah, blah, blah. You can't fit that into a WhatsApp, man. So please don't do that. So let's talk to people on the telephone and then you follow it up by an email. And if you want to send a WhatsApp, or if that's the preferred way of communicating of the client, lekker, that's fine. But not all clients appreciate that. Okay. So talk to them, send an email to follow it up. Talk to them, send a WhatsApp to follow it up. But please talk to people, you get a much deeper understanding. Are there any questions about that? It's not hard. You know this. Good. Okay, so now you've seen this picture before. Okay, because I've used it before. I just changed it around. I changed it for a cup of coffee. Who can tell me what changed on this picture? No. Okay. I changed the cartoon from the top right to the bottom left. Okay. And I took some words out. Okay, but when you're talking to the clients now, so when you phone your client and you say, listen, there's a little problem here, the guy can't move out now and he's going to move out on Tuesday or what, then you must stop talking and you must start listening, because now you're going to hear the honest gospel truth about this person. You're going to learn a lot about their personality, and you're actually going to learn a lot about you, because you didn't realize what a bastard you were and how horrible you were, but you're going to learn it. You'll learn it fast. And this is what's going to come pouring into your life. And when that happens to you, the instinct is to say, excuse me, You can't talk to me like that. Well, I've got bad news for you. They can talk to you any way they want because you've engaged with them on a professional basis. And you're going to have to sit and suck it up and listen to these guys and get a handle on what they're trying to say. And the way to do that is just to shh and listen. Listen. Just listen to what they're saying. Listen to the temperature in their voice and try and understand what it is they want. Okay, you've got to understand what they want, not what you think they want and not what you want to give them. So when I listen to a complaint, I often try and hear what I can do. And what I can do is do this thing. And I try and manage the process so they get to the same conclusion. But that's not how actual attentive and effective listening works. Effective listening is you listen to the person in entirety, you understand their position, and you listen to what they want. Then you ask them, okay, what can I do about this? What would you like me to do? And they're going to say, I want you to drop the selling price by 300,000 Rand. Then you don't say, no, but that's ridiculous. When you find something else, I'll give you a bouquet of flowers. No, you say, I hear what you're saying. You would like me to drop the selling price by 300,000 Rand. I am going to ask the seller if they'll do it, and I'll come back to you. Or I'm going to talk to my business partner, Anton, our principal. I'm going to talk to Linda. I'm going to talk to our rentals person, and I'm going to come back to you. And you genuinely try and do that. And you phone the seller. So this is the guy's unhappy. He wants 300,000 Rand off. And the seller is then going to explain to you what he thinks of you. And you're going to sit up and listen. And you're going to listen to his point of view. And you're going to say, what would you like me to do? I'd like you to go back to the buyer and tell him I'm not reducing the price. Thank you. Okay, I'll do that. And that's what you do for a living. Okay. Our job is to do for a living is not to try and infuse in this deal what we want. Okay, that's not what that way happens. What you're going to do is listen to the parties and try and find a way to make it work. So please listen to what these people are saying and try and once you've listened, put the phone down, take 100 deep breaths, and then please phone Anton or Linda and say, listen, this has exploded. This is what's gone down. This is what they want. Because in all the years, and if you speak to the agents that have been around a long time, deals go awfully bad. A lot of bad stuff happens, but most of the time you can recover it. Either the deal will break. That's the worst that can happen. And most of the times, though, you can fix these things. But you just need to do the right thing and talk to the right people. The right people are not the attorneys, though. So when a deal goes wrong, don't phone the attorneys and ask for advice because they're not your business partner. They're only your business partner in a certain aspect of it. They do the conveyancing. Okay. I'm your actual de facto business partner. You've signed a letter with the EAB saying, Anton and I are partners. Everything I do, he does. And everything he does, I do. And I endorse everything you do. So if you've signed this letter and you've agreed to that, why would you go to somebody else? Or hide it from me, for goodness sake. Okay. There's no questions about this. I know this is so simple. And this, just to remind you, is the last rant we're having about this, because from next week, we're going to learn something else. Okay, so then there's some angry clients out there. Sure, guys. The only thing I can say is you have to remain calm. You cannot raise your voice. You cannot push back. A couple of agents have taken a lot of flack this week. Very personal attacks. Really sort of unsavory stuff that you shouldn't say to people. But there's nothing that you can do to resolve that. There's nothing you can do. If somebody's really angry at me and they're shouting at me, there's nothing I can do to help the situation by pushing back at them. So you've just got to remain calm. Okay. And you've got to not take it personally and think about what are they actually shouting about. What they're shouting about is the frustration, the pain and suffering that they're going through. And it's not your fault, but they're going to shout at you. Why? Because they know you're an easy target. They know you can't shout back. And they know you've got you by the scruff of the neck, and they're going to shake you until all their frustrations are gone. And you've got to be ready for it. And when it comes, you must get shaken up and go, I knew this was going to happen, but it's fine. And you smile and say, I'm sorry that you feel this way. I really didn't want this to go down like this. And I'm terribly sorry that you are experiencing frustration in our dealings. So I'm not apologizing for what I did. I don't apologize for giving you the tenant. I'm saying is I am sorry that it's not worked out like you wanted it to work out. Okay. And then ask them, what do you want? And we try and do it for you. Okay. What would you like me to do? Because if you let a person rant for long enough, they exhaust themselves and they actually collapse. And then they say, okay, now I'm finished. Then if you say to them, right now, what would you like me to actually do? They'll tell you. And you say to them, okay, give me a couple of minutes, I'm going to come back to you. And if you can keep a stable tone and a peaceful tone of voice, and they believe that you've heard them and that you are apologetic and sympathetic, even if you're wrong. Because remember, you're not apologizing for what you did. You're apologizing about the way they feel. Okay. I'm sorry that you're angry that I drove into your car. I am really sorry that your car got damaged. But I didn't actually, it wasn't my fault. That was your fault because you went to the robot. That's the second part that's in your head. You never say that. What are you apologizing about? You're not apologizing about driving into the car. You're apologizing, I'm sorry that your car is damaged, and I'm sorry that it's going to take a lot of pain and suffering, and I'm sorry you got a sore foot. I am sorry. Yeah. Simple, eh? Okay. Are there any questions? There shouldn't be. I mean, there's not.
What happens if we say that we are going to help them and we go back and we can't help them the way they wanted us to help them?
Yeah, well, you see, this is communication in its essence, because what you're going to say to them is, you say, well, what is it that you'd like, Sandy? You say, Anton, I would like you to drop the rent by 5,000 Rand and make the pool go blue. So what you say to them, you don't say, I'm going to make that happen. You say, I'm going to go back to the owner and see if we can achieve that. If we can't achieve that, however, then I'm going to tell you what we can do for you. So, and they won't hear that, eh, Sandy? So all they'll hear is, Sandy's going to make it happen. So when you come back to them and you're going to say, listen, Mr. Smith, I'm terribly sorry, but this owner is not prepared to make his pool go blue, and he won't drop his rental. So the best I can offer you is that you take him to the rental tribunal, and he'll scream at you again. So open and honest communication doesn't mean that you're not going to get away with pain and suffering. It only means that most of the time, everybody at least understands what you've said. And if you follow it up in writing and say, Mr. Smith, thank you for the meeting. As discussed, I will go back to the owner and put your proposals of a reduced rental to him, and I will revert to you with what he has to say. Then he can shout at you all he likes. You've told him what you're going to do and you did it. What you're never going to say is, I'll make it happen for you. Brew, I'm no agent. I'll bet you that I said 300,000 and less. Or, that's rubbish. That owner's unfair and I'll make sure the pool goes blue. Well, that's stupid. I mean, you've got no control over owners. I mean, if you want to make your life hard, then do that, but don't do that. Right. You see, the rental agents get hammered. Sandy knows. No questions. Right. Thanks very much, guys. Okay, so next end of the week, Friday, we'll probably do a little bit more on the new offer to purchase. Please, guys, the offer to purchase has got gaps in it. I don't know if you've noticed. So they don't have a seller's name, address, they don't have a property, don't have a price, they don't have stuff in it. It's a pro forma, it's empty. So this week I got one back without the seller's name and without the property described. And it also didn't have the price. Now that's very difficult to do a conveyancing matter like that. I can assure you, I'm not an attorney, but I'm pretty sure that NGL is going to battle with that one because they don't know who the property is, who the seller is, and they don't know how much. Okay, so please help us with that. Where there's a gap, a good way to do it is to actually put a line in the gap. You understand? So if there's a gap in your offer to purchase there, it says the occupation date, put a line in it. I'm not answering this question. I'm reserving my rights. Fifth Amendment. I'm not telling you. That's good. That's better. But put the information in. So every time there's a gap, you can put a line in it and say, that means that you've applied your mind and said, no, I'm not going to answer this part of the question. Okay, because there aren't any alien trees. There's no tenant. I'm leaving it out. I'm putting a line in it. If you just leave the thing blank, I don't know why the temptation is to not fill in information on a form. It's quite a weird thing. Okay, so when a form asks you for things, then put it in. Help me to help you. Come on, Max. Okay, fight fair. So that's all good, but most of you get it perfectly right. And if you want a masterclass in how to fill in an offer to purchase, I'll ask Rob to send his emissary Robin around who's been trained that he will not leave out anything. Otherwise, I don't know what goes on in Rand Park, but there are no gaps in their things, and they work, and it's lovely. Thank you so much for giving us proper documents, guys. Right, that's it. It's nearly Friday. Go and sell some houses. Thank you. Okay, now I just have to turn it off.